Well, we now go live to the Disaster Risk Management's live press conference on Hurricane Milton.
Thank you all so much, and welcome to the National Disaster Emergency Operations Center of the DRM Authority, formerly known as NEMA. I'd like to welcome you all to our hurricane update for Hurricane Milton. We've been very fortunate thus far in the hurricane season in that we have not received any direct impact, and if we are lucky, we will not get a full impact from this hurricane as well. However, as you all know, a tropical storm watch has been issued for the northern islands, and we are anticipating indirect impacts and tropical storm conditions as early as Wednesday. We have a lineup of speakers today that will guide us through what we can expect over the next few days. So without further ado, I would like to welcome the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis.
Thank you very much. And please be seated. Good evening, everyone. After the briefing received in Cabinet this morning on the developments and preparations surrounding Hurricane Milton, I wanted to speak to you, the Bahamian people, directly. At 6 p.m. this evening, the Met Office issued its latest bulletin. Hurricane Milton continues to strengthen as it approaches the western coast of Florida and is currently a Category 5 hurricane. The Met Office has upgraded the status for islands in the northern Bahamas from a tropical storm watch to a tropical storm warning. This means that tropical storm conditions are expected within the next 36 hours on the islands of Abaco, Bimini, and Grand Bahama, and the surrounding keys. While the threat is not as significant as that of a hurricane threat posed to our neighbors in Florida, we still need to take it seriously. Tropical storms are nothing new for us. Year after year, we are told how we must prepare and ready ourselves and our homes to keep us all safe. But we know how quickly things can change. The storm, in particular, has intensified extremely rapidly. And so, within the next 24 hours, it is important that you do all that you can to stay safe. The Disaster Risk Management Authority has issued detailed guidance on how best to prepare. Please don't wait. If you haven't already done so, start preparing now. The Met Office advises that as Hurricane Milton passes over Florida, tropical storm winds will be experienced on Abaco, Bimini, and Grand Bahama, and as I said earlier, the surrounding keys. These islands have already experienced excessive rainfall since Sunday from another storm system, and so the ground is already saturated with water. Heavy rainfall has also been experienced on other islands in recent days, namely on Andros, the Berry Islands, New Providence, and Eleuthera. And now the rainfall from Hurricane Milton is expected to intensify, especially overnight tomorrow night. The Met Office advises that as a result, there's likely to be extensive flooding. Take whatever precautions necessary to protect yourselves from this excessive flooding. The Met Office also advises that from noon tomorrow, that is on Wednesday, heavy rainfall is also expected on those other islands, Andros, the Berry Islands, New Providence, and Eleuthera. Because of the heavy flooding, which is expected to result from this, after consultation with the Minister of Education, I'm announcing that all schools on those islands will be closed until Friday for in-person teaching. We don't want our young people having to navigate large areas of flooding while getting to and from school. The Ministry of Education will provide further detailed guidance. The broadcast alert system has already been activated on all mobile phones in the country, and you have received one earlier this afternoon. Please pay attention to the alerts and follow the advice given. ZNS and other news outlets will broadcast further alerts and updates as they are issued. Stay tuned to official channels for updates from the Bahamas Department of Meteorology. Friends, for the past several months, I've held monthly meetings with the disaster risk management team. Compared to what was in the past, the team has greatly enhanced the degree of national preparedness. They are coordinating efforts across all sectors to ensure that the agency is ready to respond swiftly and effectively. I expect that those of you, especially in Abaco and Grand Bahama, may well find this time to be the cause of some anxiety. Given the projected path of Hurricane Milton and the fact that it is not projected to make landfall in the Bahamas, there's no need for panic or alarm. Even so, much has been learnt and improved upon from past experiences. One of the lessons is that it is better to take extra precautions rather than be taken by surprise by unforeseen events. In other words, as my grandfather would say, it's better to be safe than sorry. Focus your efforts on being safe. For example, if your home is at risk of flooding, go and stay with a friend or relative whose home may not face such risk. Stock up on water, food, batteries, and so on, as you would when facing a direct threat of a hurricane. Clear anything from your property which may be blown around in the wind. Protect your doors and windows. Raise your furniture or other household valuables off the floor in case of the flooding. And of course, and more importantly, protect yourselves. We will continue to monitor the storm extremely closely. The Family Island administrators, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the National Youth Guard, the Ministry of Works, and all our major agencies are on standby. They are ready to respond and deploy resources as needed to protect and support our communities. We remain in close touch with our partner agencies in the United States and in the region. To those fellow Bahamians residing in Florida, I strongly urge you to take this hurricane extremely seriously. If you are in Florida, Milton is a powerful and dangerous storm, and is forecast to remain so as it makes landfall on Florida's west coast. Please heed the warnings from local authorities, make necessary preparations, and take all measures to ensure your safety and that of your families. The Governor of the Bahamas is coordinating our efforts with our consular offices and local Bahamian associations in Florida to provide assistance wherever possible. As Bahamians, we are no strangers to the challenges posed by tropical storms and hurricanes. We have faced them before, and we have emerged stronger each time. Let us remain vigilant, prepared, and ready to act. Our government stands prepared to take every necessary measure to protect lives, property, and communities. I want to thank you, and may God continue to bless and protect the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for those words of both caution and assurance. I'm sure all of the emergency support functions here present take heart in your confidence in their abilities and their commitment. They have been working hard over the last several days. I would now like to invite Mr. Jeffrey Simmons, Acting Director of the Bahamas Department of Meteorology, who will give us an appraisal of the status of the storm and the conditions we can expect over the next few days.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Milton developed in the Gulf of Mexico last week, and since its development, we have been watching it closely to see what was going on. At first, looking at even up to yesterday, while we were monitoring the system, we did not see the need to issue any alerts for any of the islands of the Bahamas. However, on yesterday, Milton really became a very powerful, record-breaking, as a matter of fact, hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico on yesterday. And it developed the forecast models and everything. We all have an agreement on the movement of the system, taking a northwest track from the northern Yucatan Peninsula into the east coast of central Florida. However, last night an interesting thing happened that is not very uncommon with these type of storms. Something that we call eyewall replacement began to take place last night. And as a result of that happening, what that usually means for us then is that the wind field of Milton, we realize now, began to expand. And we noticed that a lot today while it was still moving away from the Yucatan Peninsula. As a result of that, we realized that as Milton passed across central Florida, now because of its increase in size, there's a possibility that the islands, or that are northern islands, in particular Abaco, Grand Bahama, and Bimini, can be affected and could experience tropical storm force winds. So after consultation among ourselves, local meteorologists, and also with our colleagues at the National Hurricane Center, it was decided that we would issue a tropical storm watch today at noon today, which we did. Looking at the forecast, and everything is holding to what we forecast, we saw now that this could really come to being. So now we are in a warning mode, which means that 36 hours we could start to experience these tropical storm force winds. Because the islands of the Bahamas is just on the outer peripheral of the hurricane, we would only experience tropical storm force winds. Even though it's a very powerful hurricane, you have to be within at least 50 miles of the center of the storm to experience the hurricane force winds. So we don't, on the forecast track, which we have high confidence in, will not take that path, but will take the path moving into central Florida on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So what we did was, what Mr. Jeffrey Green, our chief meteorologist, did was he put together what kind of impacts we can face on these islands. And so I'll let him come and explain to us with the graphic what we can expect as a result of Milton as it passes through the area.
Ms. Taylor, can you start? Good evening, everyone. Ms. Taylor, can you start advance? Okay. All right, so this storm is a Category 5 storm, and because of its mass size, even though we'll be well to the south of it, we expect that we will get some squally conditions with possible tornadic activity. So as the storm moves closer to Florida, we will see more and more activity across the northern and northwest Bahamas, parts of the central Bahamas. The southeast is pretty much going to stay pretty calm for the most of the passage of the storm. The motion, as you can see, the storm, the blue would be the tropical storm force winds of 39 miles an hour to 57 miles an hour. And that will start to affect Grand Bahama 9 a.m. on Thursday, and that will last until 7 a.m. on Friday. As you continue to move the system, you will see the wind field in the blue again starts to move across northern Abaco, and that will affect them from 4 p.m. on Thursday until 10 a.m. on Friday. Again, as it moves, you will see that wind field move across, continue. It will move across central Abaco, and that will affect them from 9 p.m. on Thursday until 10 a.m. on Friday. South Abaco will be just outside of that tropical storm force winds, but they may get some gusty winds up to tropical storm force. Again, it's likely that Bimini will be right on the outskirts of the tropical storm force winds. So they may get gusts to tropical storm force, which is 39 miles an hour or greater, but I don't think they will have sustained winds. So based on that, we know that Freeport will be under the gun from Thursday, with a lot of that wind affecting them, and plus that squally conditions that will really keep the thunderstorms and the severe weather activity most likely affecting them through that period. We expect clearing as we go into Friday afternoon. So as the system pulls further away from us, we expect that Friday we'll see some reprieve in terms of the weather conditions. The winds, like I said, will drop off around 10 a.m. on Friday. So that would be time for us to assess if there's any damage or anything happens during the time that we had tropical storm conditions. We expect the same amount of rainfall of 4 to 6 inches across the northern Bahamas, but up to isolated amounts of 10 inches. So we know, and this is true Friday morning. So we know that we've been getting that. We've been getting a lot of rainfall. We expect that will continue until Friday, and then some improvement as I say the storm move away from the area. For the northwest, we expect 3 to 5 inches of rainfall with isolated maximums of around 6 inches. Sorry, that's 8 inches. So again, I read the rain gauges today just from last night into this morning. Well, today, when I read them, we had over 2 inches of rainfall. So we know that we've been having heavy amounts of rainfall that have been passing through the islands, especially for New Providence. We've had some flooding on the roadways, and we expect that to continue until the system is truly out of the Bahamas area. For the central, we expect 1 to 2 inches with isolated maximum of around 4 inches of rainfall. We expect that to be spotty, not as we have it in the northwest and the northern Bahamas. There will be more spotty times where you will find that throughout the islands. And for the southeast Bahamas, we expect basically less than 2 inches of rainfall because they are not expected to be impacted as the system is more north of the southeast Bahamas. So the other thing that we're worried about is coastal inundation from the high surf and the waves that are going to come from the system. We expect that the majority of that will happen on Friday, which is because the storm is moving away. The wind-generated waves will be impacted the northern shores of our islands. That means that they will have some really high surf that will most likely affect the coastlines, and that will mean inundation of water coming on shore. So those who are in coastal areas, be aware that even though the storm may be leaving us on Friday, that's when we'll have the majority of that water impacting the northern shores on Friday and Saturday, with some improvement on Sunday. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons, Mr. Green. Up next, I'd like to invite Minister of State in the Ministry of Disaster Risk Management, the Honorable Leon Lundy, to give brief remarks regarding response.
Good evening, Bahamas. As we continue to monitor the approach of Hurricane Milton, I want to assure you that we are fully prepared and ready to support every community in this country. The government, through the DRM authority, has been working to ensure that all islands have the necessary resources to withstand any storm. We have taken a strategic approach, decentralizing our disaster preparedness efforts, which means each island is able to focus on its own specific needs. Every island is unique in its geography, population distribution, and risk factors. This means that one solution does not fit all, and we are addressing each situation accordingly. Some islands may request resources for food and non-perishable supplies. Others need sandbags to guard against flooding, while still others are focusing on securing fuel for their generators to ensure power during potential outages. In this vein, we've been closely engaging with the Family Island administrators and representatives over the past few days. Yesterday afternoon, we held a critical meeting to assess and address the most urgent needs. One significant request across many islands was for tarps to secure homes against potential roof damage. I'm happy to report that the distribution of tarps have already begun in several communities, and those that have not yet received them will be receiving them first thing in the morning. This is part of our proactive approach to ensuring that no home goes unprotected as we brace for this storm. At the heart of our efforts is a commitment to ensuring that resources are not only provided, but are distributed effectively. We have teams on the ground working in real time to get these critical supplies to where they are most needed. The Disaster Risk Management Authority is coordinating with local officials, the Defense Force and Police Force, and volunteers across the country. This type of collaboration is what will allow us to respond to Hurricane Milton swiftly and effectively, should there be any unforeseen impacts once the storm approaches. But it's important to remember that while we are doing everything we can as an agency to prepare and respond, preparedness begins at home. I want to strongly urge every resident to take this storm seriously. Now is the time to act, if you haven't already done so. Gather your emergency supplies, including water, non-perishable food, flashlights, batteries, and any medications that you may need for the next few days. Check your surroundings, secure any loose items in your yard, and make sure your homes are secure as possible. Additionally, if you are living in a low-lying or flood-prone area, we encourage you to make preparations to evacuate to a safer location if needed. The shelters will be opened if the need arises, and they are well equipped with the necessary resources. Please ensure you stay tuned to all advisories coming from the Met Office, the DRM Authority, and other official sources. Community solidarity is vital during times like these. We ask that you also check in on your neighbors, particularly the elderly and vulnerable, making sure that they too have what they need. This is a time when coming together as a community can make all the difference. It is also important to remain calm but vigilant. Hurricanes are unpredictable and conditions can change rapidly. Continue to monitor all updates and do not let your guard down until the all clear has been issued. Our nation has weathered storms before, and each time we have come out stronger because of the resilience and determination of our people. I want to reiterate that your safety is our top priority. Don't wait. The government is doing everything in its power to mitigate the risks and ensure that you have the support you need. We are confident in our disaster preparedness plans, but we also need you to do your part. As Hurricane Milton approaches, please take every precaution and make the necessary preparations for you and your loved ones. And may God bless and keep the Bahamas safe. Thank you. At this time, I also wanted to acknowledge the presence of our official opposition, the members that are here, members of Parliament, members of the Senate, and also our Commissioner of Police and our Commodore of the Defense Force. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And now I would like to invite our last speaker of the evening of the press conference, Managing Director of the Disaster Risk Management Authority, Mr. Aaron Sargent, who will bring details of our response efforts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just give a brief update to the response efforts of the Disaster Risk Management Authority. Subsequent to the special weather statement by the Bahamas Department of Meteorology yesterday, October 7th at 3 p.m., which detailed, as we all know, the severe weather impacts of Hurricane Milton, the DRM Authority would have hosted a meeting with all of the northern islands and districts, all of the Family Island administrators, members of Parliament, and the Disaster Risk Management Consultative Committees. We spoke to them on their state of readiness, any challenges that they would have anticipated ahead of the weather statement and the potential impacts from Hurricane Milton. Subsequently, the National Disaster Emergency Operations Center was partially activated, along with the incident command centers in those districts of Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini, as well as North Andros, Central Andros, Abaco, North Abaco, and Central Abaco. Additionally, the Department of Meteorology would have issued alert number 1 for Hurricane Milton on October 8th at 12 noon, placing a tropical storm watch in effect for the northern Bahamas. This includes Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini, and it in turn triggered a full activation of the incident command centers on all of those islands. As we've heard, we know where the current storm position of Hurricane Milton is, and we are expecting some potential impact to those areas, including Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini. Our emergency support function groups have been activated. Function groups like communications, transportation, health and medical services, urban and marine search and rescue, public works and utilities were all activated and are assisting with coordinating efforts to address the needs of affected residents. As we've heard earlier from our minister, tarps and supplies have been sent. About approximately 400 tarps have been sent to Abaco and Grand Bahama, and an additional lot will be sent in the morning. As we've heard from the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Education has announced that schools in Grand Bahama, Abaco, Bimini, and Grand Key will be closed for face-to-face learning on from today, October 8th to the 9th. We have tested successfully our internal communication systems that has been recently donated by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. It is a Barrett high-frequency system, and it was tested as of today and is working, which allows us to have established communication with SEDEMA, which is located in Barbados. Shelter and medical preparations. Communications have been made with all of the shelters or identified shelters in the Northern Bahamas. The shelters are confirmed and ready if the need arises to be activated. Clinics as well in the Northern Bahamas are equipped and ready. Travel and transportation. The Lyndon Pinling International Airport, along with airports located in the Northern Bahamas, remains operational. However, some flights from Orlando and Tampa have been canceled. In addition, Fresh Creek runway was reported to have flooding, but they remain operational. Lastly, we would have met with the officials from SEDEMA early on today. They have now placed their response mechanisms on standby to assist if need be. We have also identified potential hazards that we expect to see from the passage of Hurricane Milton, which include localized flooding, some roof damage, etc., and the needs for tarp. We have advised them that if we reach a capacity where we need assistance, we'll reach out to them for that assistance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Managing Director. And with that last speaker, I would like to bring this press conference to a close and thank everybody for attending. To the people of the Bahamas, I echo our Prime Minister and our Minister of State for Disaster Risk Management in saying, don't wait, get storm ready. This storm is essentially upon us, and we are doing our part to ensure that everyone feels as safe as possible in the approach of Hurricane Milton. We ask you to also do your part in protecting your homes, protecting your families, protecting your businesses. So once again, we thank everyone for attending, and with that, we bring this press conference to a close. Thank you, everyone.
Now, as you just heard, massive Hurricane Milton, not to be taken lightly, not when it's already shattered records in the Atlantic Basin to become one of the strongest storms ever. And while Milton's forecasted landfall is not the Bahamas, its aim is close enough. Tonight, we heard from the Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis. We also heard from the Acting Director of the Met Office, Jeffrey Simmons, along with Chief Meteorologist Jeffrey Green, the Minister of State with responsibility under whose portfolio falls the Disaster Risk Management Agency, Leon Lundy, as well as Aaron Sargent. Now, our Devonte Hannah is standing live at the DRM's Gladstone Road headquarters. Devonte, some takeaways.
Good evening, Makushla. A tropical storm warning is now in effect for the islands of Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini. This as the Disaster Risk Management Authority today held a press conference, and they say while the country may not be feeling the full brunt of Hurricane Milton, they are not taking any chances and are ensuring that residents across the length and breadth of the Bahamas remain safe. The Prime Minister also announcing today, just moments ago, that schools in Grand Bahama, Abaco, Bimini, New Providence, Eleuthera, as well as Andros will be closed until Friday, as it is expected that Hurricane Milton will bring heavy rains that can start at around 12 noon tomorrow. Now, of course, as it relates to those tropical storm winds and tropical storm conditions that can be expected in those islands, Grand Bahama can feel that impact as early as 9 a.m. on Thursday. Of course, Abaco can feel that impact as early as 4 p.m. on Thursday as well. And of course, meteorologists say that 3 to 6 inches of rain is expected on those northern coast islands, and in the central Bahamas we can expect up to 4 inches of rain, and in the southeast Bahamas less than 2 inches of rain to be felt as those tropical storm conditions spread across the Bahamas. And of course, the all clear, according to meteorologists, can be given by as early as 10 a.m. on Friday. Now, the government through the DRM authority assured residents that they will continue to do their part to ensure that they all remain safe. They said that there have been several meetings with island representatives, island administrators, members of parliament. You can see several cabinet ministers are here on the ground to ensure that all plans and recovery efforts are happening. Now back to you, Makushla.